It was supposed to be a night we'd never forget, and I guess we won't. Just not for the reasons I had in mind. Our 10th wedding anniversary. I'd planned it all out weeks ahead. Booked a table at Ocean View, the priciest place in town. I wore my sharpest suit, had just gotten a fresh haircut, and tucked a tiny black box into my pocket. Diamond earrings, custom made. Elegant. Thought I was nailing it. But she was already half an hour late when that gnawing feeling started to creep in. By the 1-hour mark, the waitstaff started giving me those pitying side eyes. After 90 minutes, the manager politely offered to keep my table reserved a little longer. 2 hours in, I knocked back 3 overpriced cocktails, just trying to keep my face from crumbling. At 2.5 hours, my gut felt like it was made of concrete. Then, right as the clock hit the 3-hour mark, the front doors swung open, and there she was. Sarah, my wife. She walked in like she owned the place, wearing a skin-tight red dress I'd never seen before. Lips painted like fresh blood. Hair done up like she was hitting a club, not joining her husband for dinner. And she wasn't alone. Trailing behind her were Nancy, Linda, and Catherine, her usual crew, all dressed like they were shooting a music video. At first, they didn't say much. Just strutted in. Then Sarah looked over at me, still sitting there like some loyal idiot, and said loud enough for the whole room, "Told you he'd still be here." Like a sad little pup. They burst out laughing. Like it was the best joke they'd heard all month. The waiter glanced at me with a mix of sympathy and discomfort. I didn't flinch. I didn't say a word. Just forced a smile, swallowed the acid crawling up my throat, and motioned him over. "Another drink," I said. "Make it a strong one." Sarah didn't even take a seat. She strolled over, still chuckling, and kissed me on the forehead like I was some obedient child. "You're such a good little pet, Terry." "Yeah, Terry Coleman. That's me. 39. Hardworking. Faithful. Completely blindsided." I didn't speak. Not yet. She sauntered back to her friends, told them she had to fix her makeup, and vanished into the restroom. The rest of them hung out at the bar, sipping martinis, shooting the occasional glance in my direction, whispering behind their glasses. I pulled out my phone, stared at the lock screen, hoping it might tell me what the hell just happened. But it stayed blank. I felt hollow. I wasn't going to cause a scene. Not there. Not yet. Instead of going home, I drove to a rundown motel on the edge of town, paid cash, and laid on the bed staring up at the stained ceiling for what felt like forever. Sarah didn't call, didn't text, didn't ask where I was. But this morning, 70 missed calls. The latest one came at 8:10 a.m., most of them stacking up between 3 and 5. One voicemail. Her voice sounded panicked. "Terry, pick up. Please. This isn't what it looked like. I need to explain. It was just a joke. I swear, just a stupid joke with the girls. You're blowing this way out of proportion. A joke. Yeah, just like our whole marriage, apparently." Then I checked my email. One new message. No name, no note. Just the subject. "You deserve to know." Attached was a video. I should have deleted it. I didn't. And I can't unsee it. There she was, Sarah bent over the hood of a black Dodge Charger. Same red dress. Hair a mess. Heels still on. His hand wrapped around her throat like she was his. His face? Oh, I knew that face. Scott. My gym buddy. This wasn't a one-time mistake. You could tell by the way she looked at him. By the way she moaned his name like it was the only word she ever wanted to say. It had been going on for a while. I didn't cry. Not right then. I just stared at the screen, eyes flooding through my chest. I thought about all the nights she came home tired from girls' nights. All the evenings I made her tea, rubbed her feet, whispered that I'd love her till my last breath. And all that time, she was out doing that. I stood in the motel bathroom gripping the sink like it was the only thing anchoring me to the planet. My reflection looked pale, older somehow, cracked wide open with confusion, shame, and the worst part? I wasn't even shocked. Not really. I think deep down, I knew. That night at Ocean View? That was just the moment the illusion finally cracked. The curtain dropped. The woman I vowed to love and protect had become someone else. A cold, mocking stranger. And this? This was just the beginning. I didn't go back home. I couldn't. Not after that video. Not with her voice echoing in my head, calling someone else's name like it was her favorite song. I sat on the edge of that motel bed, numb, like I wasn't even inside my own body. 85 missed calls. One lie-filled voicemail. One video that shattered what was left of me. By noon, I turned my phone back on. More texts. More missed calls. The last one said, "Can we please talk?" I'm outside your work. I just want to explain. It's not what it looked like. Not what it looked like. I replied with a single word. Liar. Then I blocked her. Didn't go to work. Didn't eat. Just sat in that sad little motel room while the old heater sputtered and rattled like it was about to give out. Didn't get much sleep that night. I closed my eyes, sure, but mostly just lay there, trying to make sense of the wreckage. But it was the day after that really sealed everything. I went back home. Not because I forgave her, hell no. I just needed to see it with my own eyes. Her face. Whether she'd try to twist it all into something else. Walking into my own house felt like stepping into someone else's life. Her car was out front. Music drifted through the open window, some trashy pop song she always played when she was getting dolled up. She was in our bedroom, standing in front of the mirror, curling her hair like it was just another Friday night. Not crying. Not wrecked. Not even dressed like someone who just blew up their marriage. She wore that tight little leather skirt I once told her I hated because it made her look like she was trying way too hard, and a lacy low-cut top I'd never seen before. Took me half a second to figure it out. Pre-game outfit. She caught sight of me in the mirror and froze. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She turned slowly, gave me a look like I'd just tracked dirt onto her white carpet. Terry, she said, voice as flat as the floor. You weren't supposed to be here. Clearly, I said, shutting the door behind me. She crossed her arms. No apology. No guilt. Just full-blown attitude. I'm going out, she told me. This really isn't a good time to talk. I stared at her like she was a complete stranger. Going out? After everything? She rolled her eyes. Oh my God. Are we seriously still doing this? It was one stupid mistake. You vanished. What was I supposed to think? You laughed at me, I said. My voice was quiet, lower than I meant. In front of your friends. On our anniversary. You left me there for 3 hours. Then that video. Oh, here we go, she snapped, brushing past me. You and your little heartbreak monologue. You're not some poor victim, Terry. You're just boring. You've been boring for years. Always playing the perfect husband, the loyal guy. You don't have a clue what it feels like to actually be wanted. Desired. I needed more. I took a step back. That cut deeper than the video ever did. And Scott? I asked. She gave a smug little smirk. At least he doesn't cry after giving me earrings. I should have punched a wall. Should have screamed. But I didn't. I just nodded. Thanks, I said. That's all I needed to hear. She cocked her head, like she couldn't quite figure me out. I'm done, I told her. Don't call. Don't come near me. You made your choice. She laughed, mean and sharp. Oh, please. You'll be back. You don't have the guts to leave. You love me too much. You'll crawl back, like always. But I didn't look back. Not this time. I turned and walked out the front door, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel that tug in my chest begging me to turn around. Still, as I made my way down the stairs, I heard her voice ring out behind me. You'll die alone, Terry. Maybe. But at least I wouldn't die her fool. Here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't stop hurting just because you leave. I spent the night driving around, letting the city blur past. Neon signs, empty streets, homes with lights still glowing, places where people were curled up with the ones they loved, never guessing their whole world could fall apart overnight. I ended up at this old gas station on the edge of town. Hadn't been there since college. Just sat in the parking lot, engine idling, staring out through the windshield like it might offer answers. It didn't. Don't know why, but I checked my phone again. Reflex, I guess. She was still blocked, but hope can be a damn parasite. Some part of me expected a miracle, an apology, maybe. A real one. Something that showed she still had a soul. But there was nothing. Just silence. The next morning, I started packing. No big scene. No yelling, no slamming drawers. Just quiet, steady motions like muscle memory. I left the earrings on the kitchen counter, still in the box. Unopened. Maybe she'd see them and feel something. Guilt. Regret. Doubtful. Wasn't even an hour after I left that the text started rolling in from different numbers this time. We need to talk. Don't throw everything away over one mistake. You're being childish, Terry. Scott meant nothing. I was just bored. You should have noticed. And then came the real dagger, the one she knew would land deep. If you leave, you'll regret it. I'll make sure of that. Threats? Now. She knew I wasn't bluffing. That this wasn't just another dramatic fight she could fix with crocodile tears and a desperate make-out like before. But it was too late. A week passed. I moved into this tiny apartment above a barber shop. Smelled like aftershave and old wood. But it was quiet. peaceful in its own way. I didn't tell anyone at work what happened. They probably figured something was wrong. I looked like hell and kept to myself. But no one asked, and I appreciated that. Peace didn't last long, though. One night, around 2 a.m., someone buzzed my door. I checked the peephole. It was her, Sarah, standing there in a trench coat and heels, makeup smeared, mascara running down her face like she'd finally made an effort to cry. I didn't open the door. She started pounding harder. "Terry, let me in." I stayed still. Didn't move a muscle. "I know you're in there. Stop being a coward." Still nothing from me. Then she screamed, loud enough to wake the whole building. "You think you're so damn righteous? You're not better than me. You're just some loser I was dumb enough to marry." Lights started flipping on in the other apartments. I cracked the door open, stepped out, and pulled it shut behind me. "You need to leave, Sarah." She stormed closer, breath heavy, eyes manic. "You're seriously doing this? You're throwing away 10 years over one mistake? Are you really that fragile?" "That wasn't a slip," I said, keeping my voice level. "That was a dive. And you didn't stop. You're only sorry because you're alone now." She didn't even flinch before slapping me, clean across the face. And I laughed. Didn't mean to. It just came out sharp, bitter, and ugly. She took a step back, stunned. "That's it," I said. "After everything, a slap and a tantrum?" Her mouth opened, like she was about to spit out some comeback, but I didn't wait. I turned, went back inside, and locked the door behind me. Her voice echoed down the hallway for another minute or two, and then she was gone. I didn't sleep that night either, but I didn't hurt. Something had shifted. The numbness had hardened into resolve. She wasn't the woman I married. Maybe she never really was. Maybe I just wanted her to be. A few days later, I got served divorce papers. Filed by her, not me. After all she'd done, the cheating, the public humiliation, she still wanted to be the one in control. The one who got to write the ending. She listed emotional abandonment as the reason. That almost made me laugh out loud. Emotional abandonment, from the man she mocked at dinner, betrayed behind his back, and slapped in the hallway. I signed the papers. No lawyer. No fight. Didn't want money. Didn't want the house or the car. I just wanted out. Clean break. Let her have everything. It was all rotten anyway. But the hits didn't stop there. 2 days after I signed, I got a message from Scott, an old buddy from high school who ran a gym in town. "Hey man, hate to be the one to say it, but I saw Sarah with Scott today. They were shopping for rings." Rings. 2 weeks after our anniversary disaster, she was out ring shopping with the guy who used her like a Saturday toy. No shame. No time to breathe. Just wiping me away like I was an old couch she finally dragged to the curb. Part of me wanted to blow up. Wanted to drive down there, crash the store, rip the ring from her hand, and toss it in the gutter. But I didn't. I just sat in my quiet little apartment, sipping black coffee and holding a cigarette I didn't even light. I don't smoke. I just held it, thinking about how fast love can twist itself into something poisonous. And then the gut punch. My mom called. She'd bumped into Sarah at the grocery store. "She told me she misses you," Mom said, soft like she didn't want to make it worse. Said maybe you overreacted. I had to pull the phone away from my ear, just to stop myself from screaming. Overreacted? I played the loyal husband while she was out starring in backseat love scenes with gym bros and turning me into a joke in front of her friends. My mom didn't mean harm. She loved Sarah. Always thought she was the one. And Sarah had played the part perfectly. For 10 years, she was the model wife when other people were watching. Sweet. Supportive. Charming. The kind of woman moms pray their sons marry. But behind closed doors? The mask had slipped years ago. I just refused to see it. She stopped touching me 2 years into the marriage. Said she was tired. Said she needed space. Said she was working on herself. So I waited. Made her breakfast. Wrote her notes. Planned surprise getaways. She repaid me by locking her affection away and giving her body to strangers who made her feel alive. That word stuck in my brain. Alive. Like I was the reason she felt dead. Like I had drained her. Like her emptiness was something I created. A week passed. I didn't answer Scott. Didn't call my mom. Definitely didn't unblock her. And then, I saw her again. It was random at a diner downtown. She was sitting in a booth by the window, sipping a smoothie and laughing with some new guy I didn't recognize. Not Scott. Someone else. Third in line? Fourth? Who knows? Her hand was on his arm, fingers tracing the vein on his forearm. Just like she used to do with me, back when we were dating. I didn't go over. Just stood by the register waiting for my coffee, watching from the side. She saw me. I know she did, because her smile got bigger. Like seeing me suffer in silence was just an extra treat on her plate. She leaned in, whispered something to the new guy, then laughed like I never even existed. I walked out without my coffee. Didn't look back. 2 months passed. The divorce was finalized. No courtroom drama. No legal tug-of-war. Just a cold envelope from the state of California saying we were no longer married. It should have felt like a relief. Instead, it felt like reading the obituary of a man who never really existed. I tried to build a routine. Started going to the gym again. Cooked my own meals. Picked up a book for the first time in ages. I hadn't done any of it in years, reading, cooking, hitting the gym. For so long, my life had revolved around her moods, her needs, her chaos. Getting back to myself was like relearning how to walk after years in a coma. I stumbled, a lot. The nights were the hardest. That hollow stretch between midnight and dawn, when the rest of the world sleeps and your mind starts poking at old scars just to watch them bleed again. I'd lie there, staring up at the ceiling, replaying memories like scenes from a movie I didn't know the ending to. The way she used to curl up against me after a movie. The way she smiled in our wedding photos. The way her fingers locked with mine like it actually meant something. And I kept circling back to the same awful question. Was any of it real? Or had I just spent a decade living in some well-rehearsed performance by a woman who knew exactly how to act like she loved me? One night, I cracked. I opened the photo app on my phone and scrolled all the way back. Cancun, 2016. Our first real vacation. There she was. Sarah. Laughing on the beach in sunglasses, holding my hand, that smile stretched wide as the sea behind her. I remember proposing the next week. She said yes before I even finished the sentence. That smile, it looked real. But now? I couldn't tell anymore. Maybe she'd just been playing the role all along, perfect wife on paper, bored actor behind the scenes. That night, I deleted every photo of her. Every single one. Even the good ones, especially the good ones. Didn't fix anything, but it felt like pulling a brick off my chest. And then came the curveball I didn't expect. Linda, the same friend who laughed at me at the restaurant, messaged me out of nowhere. Said she needed to clear her conscience. I almost ignored it, but something in me needed closure. The message was short. You didn't deserve what she did. None of it was by accident. She's been cheating since you're 3. Scott was just the one who got caught. There were others. Guys from work. From the gym. Even that New York trip she said was a girls' weekend. She met someone there too. We all knew. We just didn't say anything. We figured you knew. Or maybe you just didn't care. I stared at my screen, frozen. 10 years. I hadn't been married to a woman. I'd been married to an illusion. A performance. A damn circus. And I was the clown juggling her chaos while she danced around behind my back with whoever made her feel alive that week. But the rage didn't come. Not anymore. Just this strange stillness. Like standing in the eye of a storm after it's already wrecked everything. Nothing left to break. I replied with one sentence. Thanks for finally saying something. Hope your conscience sleeps better now. That was it. What else was there to say? I finally saw it. What I had with Sarah wasn't love. It was dependency. She craved attention, control, worship. And I gave her all of it, thinking that meant love. Thinking that I was enough. But to her, I was just a mirror. Something to reflect her back at herself when she needed to feel adored. And when that stopped being fun, she found new mirrors. Shinier ones. Cheaper ones. Ones that didn't ask for honesty. I started therapy not because I wanted to pour my heart out. Honestly, I just wanted someone to tell me I wasn't insane. That everything I'd gone through wasn't some dramatic overreaction. That I wasn't weak for waking up still cursing her name under my breath. My therapist, Dr. Mitchell, wasn't the hand-holding type, which I appreciated. No pity. No soft voices. He just listened, nodded, and dropped questions that left me staring at the floor too long. Do you miss her? Or do you miss who you thought she was? That one stuck with me. Because the truth? I didn't miss her. I missed the version of her I made up in my head. The woman who used to send me dumb memes in the middle of the day. Who rubbed my back after long shifts. Who laughed like I was the only guy on earth. But that woman? She never really existed. She was a mask. A character. A shadow she wore when it suited her. What I actually had, lies, gaslighting, disrespect, I didn't miss that at all. Still, the anger lingered underneath everything. Especially when I heard how people reacted. Friends saying, man, I always thought something was off about her. but they never said a damn thing when it counted. My uncle telling me, "At least you didn't have kids together." That would have been worse. Like betrayal somehow softer without diapers and school drop-offs. Even my boss tried to crack a joke. "Well, now you can go get yourself a younger model." Everyone had jokes. Nobody had answers. But you know what hit the hardest? The silence. After all the shouting, the crying voicemails, the door pounding at 2 a.m., came silence. No texts. No updates. Just this empty, aching void where the chaos used to be. And silence? Silence makes you hear things you've been ignoring for years. Like how alone I really was. The truth is, I really felt the weight of that last half of our marriage. I lost count of how many times I brushed off her cruelty, her sharp moods, her blatant lies, just because I didn't want to argue. I let her twist the truth right in front of me. She'd find unfamiliar cologne on her jacket and tell me I was paranoid. She'd start locking her phone, and when I asked why, I was insecure. If I asked why she was never home before midnight, I was controlling. Sure, I wasn't perfect, but I was present. I showed up. I stayed loyal. I fought like hell to keep something together that was falling apart piece by piece, while she was out there throwing gasoline on every spark she could find. And now? She's probably out there telling people I was too sensitive, too clingy, emotionally unstable, because that's what people like her do. They rewrite the story so they get to stay the hero in their own version. Let her. Let her say whatever she needs to tell herself to sleep at night. I'm not trying to control the narrative anymore. All I want now is peace. Real peace. Not the fake kind where you lie in bed next to someone who flinches when you touch them. So I started running again. I gave up drinking. Picked up old hobbies, started building things with my hands, sketching, even dusted off the old guitar. Not to heal, like some self-help meme told me to, but because I needed to remember who I was. Who I used to be, before she infected every part of my identity. And little by little, I started feeling like myself again. Not the warped version of me she twisted into something smaller. Not the guy who sat at Ocean View for 3 hours, thinking maybe she just got stuck in traffic. The real me. The one who deserved better. The one who's finally starting to believe it. I saw her one last time. It wasn't planned. I was at the farmer's market on a Sunday morning, picking up fresh bread and coffee, chatting with vendors like I cared about the flavor profile of basil. Then I heard it, her laugh. The laugh that used to light me up, until I realized how fake it was. She was there, gliding through the crowd in a short floral dress, arm hooked through a guy I didn't recognize. Not Scott. Not diner guy. Someone new. Looked young, maybe college age. And once again, she was performing. Hair tossed just right. Makeup flawless. Moving like her life was a curated highlight reel. She saw me. Of course she did. But she didn't look away. Didn't flinch. She leaned into him, whispered something, and they both glanced at me like I was a stray dog watching them through a restaurant window. He laughed. She smirked. I think she expected me to feel something. But all I could think was how exhausting it must be to keep performing like that. I didn't stop. Didn't wave. Didn't give her 1 ounce of reaction. Just walked right past like she was a stranger. Because by then, that's exactly what she was. A stranger who wore my last name for 10 years. And now wore that smirk like it was her armor. Back at my apartment, I didn't feel rage. Or pain. Or even sadness. Just relief. And that's when I realized I was finally done bleeding for someone who wouldn't have even handed me a bandage. I sat on my little balcony, coffee in hand, watching the sun disappear behind the trees. And for the first time in a long, long while, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like freedom. You know, betrayal doesn't kill you. It just rips you wide open, deep enough for the truth to finally get in. And the truth was simple. I loved someone who never loved me back. I gave everything I had to a person who saw it as weakness. I waited in a restaurant while she laughed behind my back and bragged about how easy it was to break me. And maybe that says something about me, about how I was raised, about what I thought love was supposed to feel like. But I'm not ashamed. I'd rather be the man who waited, who believed, who stayed loyal, than the one who treats people like tools and tosses them out when they're no longer shiny. She didn't destroy me. She revealed me. Showed me where I was cracked, where I needed to rebuild. Stronger. I don't hate her. Not anymore. You can't hate someone you've outgrown. If she wants to spend her life chasing highs in nightclubs, posing for selfies with half-boyfriends, and laughing at the ruins she leaves behind, that's her story to write. But me? I'm moving forward now. No rearview mirrors. And if you're reading this, if you ever find yourself sitting alone in a restaurant, Waiting for someone who doesn't respect you? Get up. Don't wait for the slap. Don't wait for the apology that'll never come. Don't wait for the silence to hit. Get up. Pay the bill. And walk. Keep walking until you remember who the hell you are. Took me a while to figure out what healing really looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not some big Hollywood moment where everything clicks and your heart magically feels whole again. It's slow, quiet, almost invisible. It's sitting in a coffee shop and realizing you haven't thought about her all day. It's waking up and not reaching for your phone, hoping to see her name. It's passing by places that used to hurt and feeling nothing. I started noticing the little things. Cleaning out the last of her stuff felt less like an event and more like brushing dust off a shelf that hadn't been touched in years. Her scarf was still in the closet. A half-empty bottle of perfume sat on the bathroom shelf. And that dumb frame quote she hung in the hallway, "Choose love every day." I tossed it in the trash. No anger. No big scene. Just done. I sold the car we used to take on road trips. Deleted our playlist. Got rid of the blanket we'd curl under on Sunday nights like it meant something. Piece by piece, I peeled her out of my life like dead skin I'd finally stopped pretending was still part of me. One night, I went out with real friends, the kind who don't pretend nothing happened. The ones who actually checked in when I went quiet for too long. We drank. We joked. Flirted a little with some women at the bar. Nothing serious. Nothing forced. Just life again. And somewhere between the clinking glasses and the laughter, I felt it. A smile. A real one. Not the plastic grin I wore during the last few years of my marriage, but one that reached my eyes. Look, I'm not gonna lie and say I'm completely over it. Sometimes I still have dreams. Ones where she's sitting across from me, saying all the things I used to beg to hear. I wake up shaking, heart pounding, her voice still echoing through the room. But now, I don't chase the dream. I don't spend the day swimming through fog, wondering what if. I let it fade, and I move on. Because the truth is, she didn't break me. She woke me up. I've learned more about myself and the rubble she left behind than I ever did during the years I spent trying to fix us. I learned that being loyal doesn't mean being blind. That love without respect is just manipulation dressed up in sweeter words. And that no matter how much you give, some people will always chase the things that destroy them. But most importantly, I learned this. You don't need closure from the person who wrecked you. Sometimes closure is just realizing they're not capable of giving it. Sometimes, closure is closing the damn door yourself. So here I am, a different man, still healing, but not bleeding anymore. Stronger, not bitter. Wiser, not cold. I don't know what's next. Maybe I'll fall in love again. Maybe I won't. But either way, I'm good. Because I've finally learned to love the one person I neglected for years myself. And if you're reading this hoping for a reason to leave something that's quietly killing you, let this be it. You don't owe loyalty to someone who feeds off your silence. You don't owe patience to someone who weaponizes your kindness. And you sure as hell don't owe your life to someone who treats it like it's disposable. Walk away. Before their laughter at your expense becomes a soundtrack you can't shut off. Because you deserve more. You always did. Weeks turned into months. And with each one, the grip she had on my mind loosened. There wasn't one big, cinematic moment of triumph. No standing in the rain screaming her name. Just quiet detachment. Gradual. Peaceful. And the more distance I put between who I was with her and who I was becoming, the clearer I can see all the lies I once accepted as normal. I started writing again. At first, just random thoughts in a notebook during those late nights when sleep wouldn't show up. But then it turned into pages. And those pages started to make sense. It wasn't about her, not really. It was about me. My voice. My life. For so long, I'd been a background character in my own story. Orbiting her moods, her needs, her chaos. But now? Now, I'm the one holding the pen. I ran into Scott once. Random. At a gas station. Didn't even recognize him at first. He looked older, worn out. He saw me, froze. Then nodded, like he was thinking about saying something but couldn't find the guts. I didn't say a word. Just looked at him. No rage. No hate. Just silence. And that silence said everything. He dropped his eyes, muttered, "Sorry, man." Like that could rewind time. Like it could erase what he helped destroy. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked out. Because there was nothing left to say. Scott wasn't just some guy who slept with my wife. He was someone I trusted. I let him into my home. I shared drinks with him. Talked about my marriage. Confided in him. And he still did it anyway. That kind of betrayal? Words don't fix that. After that, I changed my number. It felt symbolic, like cutting the last string she could pull. No more "I miss you" texts at midnight. No more fake apologies sent out of boredom or guilt.